We are live. It's like you have to prep the camera. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. One more day, another episode, right? Continuation. Yesterday was a productive day. Many surprises towards the end. Had to pivot, juke, adjust. And that's what we're here to discuss today. I'm moving on to a new business venture. I have to explore that opportunity. I owe it to myself to explore that potential or potentiality. I have some kettle cooked jalapeno cookies. I have two peanut butter, I mean, kettle cooked jalapeno chips. I got two peanut butter cookies. I have some breakfast. I'm gonna eat the hash browns first. And then I'm gonna treat myself to a English muffin with cheese and sausage. But I want to welcome all of you guys for passing by today. It is Sunday, August the 17th, and day 25 of my new life. There's been many turns, many twists, many valleys, many peaks, many ups and downs. I've learned a lot. I've made some improvements, I've made some adjustments, and that's what I intend to continue to do. Keep growing, keep using everything else given me. I wonder how much it would be to add a side of eggs. I don't want it for today, but just for the future. I'm gonna ask. Many thoughts flowing through me. Let's go back yesterday. It's time travel. Yesterday morning was the second time that I crashed and burned. 25 days. I was dehydrated, fatigued, exhausted, stressed, burned out. I was tired, you know? There was nothing that I could do about it. Slowly putting more fluids in my system, you know, in my body. Slowly building, you know. When situations like this take place, I realize how big my heart is and how loving I really am. I have some really excellent traits, and my beautiful heart is one of them. You know, anybody that knows me knows that it has always been my superpower. You know, There are so many things going through my mind right now. I made a tough decision. I kind of did a review this morning, but I think I've given it the right amount of time to make that decision. Making tough decisions is essential for growth. Today is a day that I have to slow down time, even though I have to travel through it. This decision is so important for everything, you know? Sometimes we don't fully understand why things happen the way that they do. I guess that's one of the wonders of life, you know what I mean? But when God speaks, I listen. And God has told me it's time to move on, you know? What have I gained from venturing out here? A start, a better opportunity to be successful. I'm better equipped to be successful. Much deeper and better understanding of survival. I could plan better ahead and look for better resources. I have a lot more to consider, things to take into consideration. All I can control is myself. Being a doctor is a superpower. I signed on new business partners for this franchise, and I guessed, I estimated how the entire meeting was going to go. It went smooth, father and son. When I did the psychological profile, I even wrote in the type of vehicle that they drive, and I just confirmed that I was absolutely right. Amazing. These new business partners are unique. You know, in order to break the ice in the agreement, the negotiation, he farted like 3 times, but he did it to make his father laugh. Now, the gentleman's son is still, you know, older than me, but it's amazing the dynamic between father and son, that the son will go to that extreme to break the ice, make sure that we sign the agreement, we sign the deal, just to make him laugh. You know, conversations we had about random things going on in the world were amazing to me. And we went into politics. We went into Russia, Ukraine, United States, Trump, Putin, and Vladimir. I mean, and Zelensky. Very lightly, I don't go into politics. I'm a technology guy. But I was grateful that they, included me in that Discord, right? But it goes to show you that even in a small situation like that, I'm constantly learning. When I started this Discord, I didn't think that that would be running through my mind. But it's still something important that I feel that I need to share with you. I was supposed to be overseas. I had two concerts today that fell through. More if you include the concerts I was going to try to pick up in between. But life goes on. Life goes on. All I can do is learn. I feel sad because I was really building a system here to sustain longevity. I could probably reach far, ask a few other people if I could rent a place from them and not have to venture back out. But it is a combination of things. I needed this breakfast and this walk and this exercise this morning more than I realized at the time. I feel I need to shave as well. I am feeling a greater sense of peace. This sudden change in situation put me in a fight or flight environment, but only in the sense of, you know, having to make a decision. As a businessman, even though emotionally I have to admit to myself that I may not be 100% content with the decision that had to make. Mathematically, the numbers don't lie. mathematically, I have a much better opportunity. Oh, look at the Trans Am, B. That is great, yo. That's one of my favorite cars of all time. Many will be in my new collection. I promise you that. I even had a conversation with a person I love very much about that. But let me tell you why that was a sign from God. In this demographic, where these proof of concept locations are, these franchise examples that we use every day to discuss business, technology, investments, and retirement, right? I found a Firebird formula. What is the Firebird formula? Forge is the most tech savvy X Men from X Factor and X Force. I have moved to the Forge stage of my journey. I joined a athletic institution because it has an indoor and an outdoor pool. I'm an avid swimmer. I swim every day, surf every day, go to the beach. When I can't go to the beach, I'll surf indoors or outdoors in the pool. I mean, I'll swim in the pool or I'll surf on the beach. So, long story short, there were business opportunities that were presented to me. Didn't think much of it. One was a business franchise. That quickly fizzled out looking back, but I still want to get into the details. You see, the subconscious mind is building these defenses, right? In the context of trying to reach a common ground or an agreement, right? I diffused the energy of the situation by dispersing or delegating that power to my family members, right? Some loved ones who had shown interest in the past of potentially investing in this type of business. So, with the potential person that wanted to partner up with me, I said, listen, if I wanted to do it, I would do it by myself. No disrespect to you. Don't feel bad. Don't take it personal. It's just business. But if I had to substitute myself in this situation where I did engage in a business partnership, I would suggest my younger brother. My younger brother has been praying in one way for this type of opportunity. For some reason, I don't feel that he's ready. I think that God has presented many opportunities, and this was one of them. It was a psychological test, an emotional test. It was a religious test because it came from God. I know it came from God. They may not see that. And they're fine. They're entitled to feel and see things how they want to. I know how to live and let live and allow an empty space to fill itself. So I'm not omnipotent like God is, right? Judgment is for God. It's funny we're talking about these things on Sunday, right? So I presented the opportunity. I was immediately met with resistance from my parents, my family. Let it go. Tai Chi, freight train is coming. How do you fight it? You move out of the way. You don't fight it. You don't stand there. You don't try to convince the conductor to please stop and slow down, that your life is in danger or the situation could get worse or more people could get hurt. You just move out of the way. Cars have crumple zones, airbags, and all these defenses, right? There's safety ratings that they have to meet, Every car has them. Even the most beautiful, most exclusive, most expensive, hyper super sports car. Well, that fizzled out. I delegated the power to a group of people that could have made a similar decision. They did the same thing, which only proved and highlighted to me that I would have made the right decision by just buying the business by myself, erasing the wild card that I could have told my younger brother, yo, you know what? I'll partner with you. I don't need the money and I don't need the business, but I would do it to help you. All those variables, all interconnected to this intelligence, right? So after that, there came an opportunity to secure a vehicle that I need for one of my other businesses, one of my franchises, different investments, still part of my portfolio. And it's not something that I necessarily needed or wanted, but it is something that I could have utilized and used for the greater good of the macro picture of what I'm trying to do and of things that I am actually doing right now. In the confines of reaching out to yet another business opportunity by way of these opportunities that were successful and the opportunities that didn't succeed, there is a business partner that has a Firebird formula. What is the Firebird formula? In the Firebird series, the Trans Am is the king of the castle. The prince to that empire would be the Firebird formula because the Firebird formula has the same engine as the Trans Am. It has the same performance. There may be differences in tuning of the suspension, tuning of the computer. Most of it, though, is aesthetic. It's the silhouette, the body kit, the shape that's given to the design. So, if you really wanted the performance of a Trans Am, but you want it to be stealth, you want it to look more like a regular Firebird, it's so stealth that it looks like the six-cylinder Firebird. Now, you still can option the wing from the Trans Am, but it's not a Trans Am. You will spend more than a six-cylinder, but less than a Trans Am. And you can have the formula, which has the engine, transmission, differential, most important things. Everything else, you can add the aesthetics, you can add the body kit, you can add the hood with the vents. It's not gonna have ram air, but you can option all these things in. There's a SLP performance package that some have, and if you don't have it, you can opt to install the components. In other words, if you don't have all the money for the Trans Am, you could get the formula and build up to the Trans Am, or build something different, or just have it self. As I consider the different vehicles for my investment, only for personal use would I consider a car from the 90s, which is what it is. I like the color. The interior was not perfect. It looked like the car had been burned, or it was in a situation where there was damage due to a fire, or they used junkyard parts that could have been very, very old that may have looked good on the internet to sell the car, but eventually deteriorated. And now that this person is attempting to resell the vehicle, you can see the damage. Because I've dealt with recycling, I'm in that business, precious metals, etc., and everything that deals with automotive. I know when I see a junkyard part because I specialize in those components, right? So I only considered the car for a personal car. We actually even had a Camaro, but the Camaro did not have target tops. The Camaro was not an eight-cylinder; it was a six-cylinder, but it had the RS package from the factory, the 30th anniversary RS package, but it had the wheels from the Z28. So it looks like a baby Z28, which is what it is. Now, there's no such thing in the ethos of those cars. Those are the F bodies, Firebirds and Camaros. Same car. They're both twin cars. Now, back to this place where I signed up to exercise and swim. If I couldn't make it to the beach because of time constraints or the weather, let's say that like today is a rainy day, across the street, there's a nice investment. Few people jumped on it, family jumped on the business. I heard through the grapevine, that's how I met them. Business people, we congregate, right? We share ideas, we network, right? Well, part of the compromise this gentleman had to make was to sell his Firebird formula. Even though he secured the building and he opened for business literally, he has to travel a lot. So he gave the task to the management team, the administration team of the business, gave them direct instructions so that every morning they would go to the front of the business where the business cartel is, where you could see the logo of the company. He gave them the task of washing the car, detailing it, and displaying it in the front. It works for advertising because a lot of people love the car. It's a beautiful silhouette. But every day I would see it, I would take it as a sign from God because I knew that not by way or method of my pursuit, God just put a Firebird formula in my hands. And now here we have a Trans Am with the same color and the same options available for sale. So every day I would see the car, it will remind me. It will make me think about it like, damn, if I just keep working hard, sacrifice. Not only do I have a choice to get one, I have a choice to get both of them and have my collection complete. Well, as we were having this conversation, small, shiny glimmer of hope just happened to drive by. Basically, not parking but passing by my business partner, which just left before I started this. And it made me think to myself how special and unique it is. In my collection, I've had many, many of those cars. But just because they're not the fastest or the most expensive doesn't mean that they were not special and dear and true to my heart. And had I not been here in this particular moment, frozen in time and space, I wouldn't have been able to have that reflection. I take it as a sign of God, not necessarily as a sign of, why don't you stay around? I have these formulas for you. I have these Firebird formulas and Transams for you, right? But maybe as a nod to say farewell, as a way to close that chapter. Even though those emotions and feelings will always be in my heart, in my spirit, in my mind, and in my soul, but this is the commencement of one chapter and the opening of the newest chapter. Yesterday, before I did the music, the dance class, right, which is part of full body workouts. So shout out to all my staff and my team at Full Body Workouts. I had just taught a few master classes. I had just taken a few master classes myself. I was just getting ready to go to sleep. And there was an event, there was a UFC fight. Everybody came through the studio. We shot different scenes and different elements and working on different stuff. I drank a few beers, and a little bit while after that moment, the preliminary fights took place. Then it was the main event. I was already gone by the main event, but I took out some time to go exercise, get something to eat, have a dialogue with some people that I cared about. And slowly but surely, I started doing research to make my decision. Even though I was having a Discord, a conversation about it, I knew that once I made it back to my office, I was going to do some research and make a decision. And immediately, there were no less than three, four, or maybe even five opportunities, not including what I already had in developmental portfolios prior to. And my decision was made when I woke up. in the middle of the night to use the restroom. I still check on my computers, you know, momentarily, make sure that my trades are in, and I check the markets, which I didn't have a chance to do so, but I did glimpse at everything I had going on. And part of this Discord is also planning for the rest of the day. As I started to, I guess, create this moment, like start this journey, right? In this journal, the stark reality of the reminder hit me that my decision was made and that everything that I was going to do was to secure that every step that I take is to lead to a new path to move forward. Take a quick second and reflect on that. Earlier, I tried to drink this, it was pure molasses. Pure molasses. So it presented me with the gift, with the opportunity to once again be in a position of privilege and power. There's a psychology class that another master class that I took this morning just to freshen up. That's just my creative curve. And it spoke about emotional intelligence, but in the sense and in the nature of, with the basis, the foundational platform of discipline. And what this means in the general consensus and how it applies to my current situation is that I already recognize the patterns and the signs and all of the events that led to me making this decision. And I knew that I had to break away from the cycle. And the only way that I could break away from the cycle was to remove myself completely from the cancerous situation, which is full of variables that I cannot control. And I cannot sacrifice long term security for a short term sense of comfort or stability, a false pretense and sense of security based on small moments where you feel like things are going to work out in these potential ways, and yet they do not. And you find yourself in the repetitive cycle. So, as much as I would love to even entertain the potentiality of those opportunities, it also allowed me to realize that I was emotionally invested. It also made me realize that I had to attribute that to myself and to the beautiful heart, mind, body, and spirit and soul that God placed in my heart. Therefore, I'm held to a much higher standard. I realized that the best thing that I could do was to maintain course and allow myself the time to grieve the situation, to feel everything that any human being would feel in a similar situation, because my decision was already made and it's already set in stone. Now, due to logistics, technicalities, I'm unable to do that today. But tomorrow, that's exactly what I intend to do. It does not mean that today I'm not going to have, you know, a unique perspective about it. that I'm not going to have thoughts, that I'm not going to reflect, or that I'm not going to allow myself to not have those feelings and thoughts and emotions. But I knew in my heart of hearts that my decision had been made a very long time ago, and that everything that I would be doing would be to lead to that and nothing else. It's like me designing a vehicle right now, which I am, and completely erasing the rear bumper. There's no need for it. When you're building a high performance machine for speed, the rear wheels do not need to be covered. They don't need to be covered. Only the front wheels because it houses everything to start penetrating the air. The sooner you can release that pressure in the air, the faster the vehicle will be and the more efficient it will be aerodynamically. Because the wheels move, you could design them in a way to counterbalance in whatever direction is moving, um, based on the design. But it highlighted to me that I had made the right decisions. Disconnecting, disengaging, no explanation, nothing, no input, no output, neutral standpoint. Very simple. Walking away from the business venture, walking away from the business, walking away from the people in the business, including the clients. Accepting that just like Kobe Bryant, I put it all on the table. When the league averaged 97 points per game, I averaged 35 points per game. And that's it. People either get it or they don't. People either understand it or they don't. It either makes sense to them or it doesn't make sense to them. But my job is done. I could write a chart and I could give you a list of everything I tried every single day, every week, every month, every opportunity, every franchise brick and mortar location, every proof of concept, every franchise, unit that was available. Now it is time to move on. Having a conversation is not going to help. Breaking it down, explaining it's not going to help. The only thing that I have control of is myself, making sure that I'm nurturing myself throughout this process because I know that what I'm fighting for is so much greater. And I can still walk away happy that I gave it my all and I gave it my best. And that's it. I don't have to worry about anything for the rest of the day. I cannot leave today. I have to wait until tomorrow morning. And those are my plans. Throughout the day, I'm going to be establishing all the logistics, opening all the lines of communication with my new business partners. Agreements have been established, agreements have been made, agreements have been signed. So now I have to deliver on my end because God gave me the opportunity, God gave me the potential, God gave me the vitality, God gave me these situations as a clear cut proof of the new direction that I had to undertake. And that is exactly what I have done. Now, I'm not a mechanical machine, I'm a cyborg, right? So there's a lot of human good parts, right? Still in the system. So it doesn't mean that I don't have the power or the propensity to feel and to think and to process, right? I have the right to feel happy and bittersweet and sad and a little depressed but still uplifted because I'm embarking on a new journey and I'm tired, but for the right reasons. I'm tired because I gave everything to the situation. I did everything that I could do in my power. And now it's time to move on. Because I have such a loving heart, I have found myself in situations like this many, many times before. And I've had to make way tougher decisions than this. Now my decision is made, there's no retreat. I'm not going back. There's nothing to talk about. Things happened that shouldn't have happened. Lines were crossed that shouldn't have crossed. I decided to part ways and focus on all new things. So now I'm looking forward to that. And it is very minor logistical things. One, my flights will be ready for tomorrow. And two, based on the weather today, there's really nothing much that I could do. I cannot go surfing. I cannot go swimming. I'm not going to go work out all day because I know I'm going to travel, and that's already going to put enough wear and tear on my body. I crashed yesterday. I got a lot of rest. I felt better. Everything was good on the up and up. And then the chaos, the drama, the instability kicked in. And I said, you know what? I see the pattern. I need to cut this pattern. This is the way to go. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I did. Made my decision, went through the process. I always give myself 1 hour, feel, think, whatever. And after that, life goes on. I think that it's the best decision that I can make for myself. Of course, I want to rest. If this was a perfect universe, I would just go and probably take the day to myself. The weather permitted it, I probably would spend my day on the beach. There is an option for me to just return to a opportunity for a franchise beachside, and I have to be careful with that. I know that it's the way of looking for a backup. It's a way to hold on in a sense, directly or indirectly, consciously or subconsciously, knowing in the back of my mind that I was literally offered an opportunity that I cannot pass up because it is the opportunity that I need. Now, it doesn't mean that it's all perfect. It's going to come with a package. It's going to come with other challenges. Now, balancing everything out and putting everything on a scale, is it worth it to go through that heartache and that headache? Is it worth taking the chance, taking the risk to be successful? I most certainly feel that it is in my heart. There's even an option for me to just say, you know what, I'm just going to go and give my body the rest that it needs. I would like to avoid doing that just because I don't even want to entertain the conversation of the potentiality of me prolonging the decision that I know that I need to make. And if I'm not mistaken, the proposals that were sent to me, they're no more than 72 hours old. So I basically received everything as far as like pitch decks and proposals and business plans probably yesterday or the day before. So that's how I feel, and I have every right to feel that way. You know what I'm saying? You have every right to feel that way. And part of this discussion is to acknowledge that, leaving it here in a public forum for all to dissect and process and understand and relate to or agree with or disagree with or understand or not understand. It's not up, it's not down, it's not left and right, it's not inside or out, it's not x axis, it's not y axis. It just is, you know? So even something as simple as seeing somebody cycling a bicycle, that was a goal that I kind of have for myself. I wanted to buy me an electric bicycle that I could ride to the beach or to go swimming. And I'll still be able to do that, but not in this demographic. So it's an amazing dynamic to be able to fully grasp that concept and fully understand. Um, it's something that in the future I'm definitely going to look back on. I'm going to be able to reflect. 1 week ago, everything was different. 1 day ago, everything was different. Now, what I feel is the acceptance that a tough decision has been made, and all I can do is move forward. I got myself a medium coffee today instead of a large. I figured that a small one would be not sufficient, a large one would be too much. A medium one would present a good balance. After eating that much, based on these circumstances, the small one would have been perfect. I'm not really enjoying it because I'm a coffee aficionado, so I'm more interested in the sugar and the caffeine count, which is going to help with alert, awareness, muscle and joint discomfort, and allow me to focus on the next phase or the next chapter of everything that I'm trying to do. Now, there has also been a shift in the sense that throughout the process of today, based on my priorities and the things that I need to do, I'm going to be studying even more. I managed to study every single day, but now with even better emphasis, so many things going through my mind, and yet the only weapon that I've ever had or that I have is the power of prayer, is the power of God, is the power of wisdom, clarity, and understanding. I'm on a journey, and it's a spiritual journey. I remember in one of my discords yesterday, I basically broke it down. Looks can be deceiving. People may judge you based on your appearance or circumstantial changes, but your journey could be completely different. And who knows what influences people to view things the way that they do? Every mind, every head is a universe, right? But at the end of the day, is the reality of my life. You know, I'm not here to talk about myself being an artist or being a serial entrepreneur or published author of 45 plus books, owner of a 9,000 song catalog, World Guinness record breaker. an establisher on a daily basis. This is more about the human factor, the spiritual factor. These are the conversations that I get to have with God. And you guys all get to be a part of it. You know, during moments like this, you tend to reflect in order to increase your understanding of pain. I think about so many situations where I feel the desire and the need to want to know why I cannot have this conversation with people that I care about, that I hold secretly in certain positions of my life, of my heart, my mind, my spirit, and my soul. And only because what is behind that, what lies behind that, is the sense of desperation and despair and discomfort, distrust, and loneliness. Because had God intended it for it to be that way, it would be. But it was by design that I have these reflections by myself in the absence of those people, regardless of my own intuition, perspective, or desire to have those people as a part of that. So for me to be a doctor and an engineer and a lawyer is a superpower. Most people do not develop that ability or that capability. Those special human powers come with a special human responsibility. So all I can do is allow a river to flow without being carried away by it, even if it makes noise, because there's rocks falling and stones falling onto a stream, and highlighted in a way that is still a neutral standpoint, even though the perspective is not neutral at all. It is personalized for each and every single one of our unique human experiences. Yet I know that I must still move on and move forward. And this is not to just stay in the darkness and in the pain and in the misunderstanding. This is to highlight the fact that we're growing and we're moving forward and we're moving on and we are powering through the situation. Because once you clear those stages of understanding, once your reference points have adapted, each one of those adaptations has given you a new feature and a new ability to move forward. So the healing process can begin because there was a lot of discomfort. There was a lot of instability. There was a lot of chaos. There was a lot of distractions. There was a lot of situations where I may have interjected myself in order to fix a problem that was outside of my realm, outside of my pay grade, outside of my responsibility, even being a good person or a good friend or a good family member or a good colleague or a good business partner. I've learned throughout the years many of these hardcore principles the hard way. I've had business partners from hell. It has been one of the secrets to my success. Identifying these type of patterns that are toxic in nature. These type of behaviors very rarely or very seldom lead to anything that's positive. And when people show you who they are, you have to believe them. You will be surprised not to be surprised that what you may think that you dominate or understand may be something completely different. So you cannot be shocked or surprised or amazed or entertained when you see these pattern changes because they're always prevalent. That's the human nature. Everybody is in a different interval in life. And, for me, pursuing my dreams and living out my dreams has been my existence. For some people, they never get to explore that. So they never get to have this growth. They don't understand how complex it is because there's so much input. I can use it as an example of when you correct a child, right? You can't just leave the child in the darkness. You have to explain to the child why the child is being corrected, thus preserving and presenting the salvation. In yesterday's masterclass, the gentleman that was having the Discord with Mr. Mauricio Ruiz, my business partner, shout out to you, Mauricio, basically explained that when a new artist releases any type of media, they're competing with everything else, including media from other companies. An artist could be competing with Coca Cola and not even know it. The lowball figures that they gave as far as an estimate of what it would take to break an artist, I have factored in by a factor of seven or more. My advantage based on their variables is probably 35 to 45%. And these guys are literally juggernauts in everything that they do or that they're doing, etc., etc. You know what I'm saying? So these are examples, right, of situations that are definitive. You know, they could literally change the course of someone's existence. You know, just making the correct decisions. 98% of communication is nonverbal. Me being a doctor, me being a psychologist, gives me the superpower to see a situation and understand the dynamic of the mechanics internally of how things work. And it's a great gift to have because it teaches me so much about life on a consistent basis. There are people that refuse to invest in themselves the years that it takes to learn some of these key core basic principles, yet they expect you to not utilize them when you have put in the work to educate yourself. So this conversation is not for everybody. So the peanut gallery, you know, I think the door has been cleared to all of you to exit many minutes ago. But for those that are seeking a higher level of understanding, understand this: anything is possible. Sometimes the only way we can find out what a potentiality really is to try. Look on the business perspective. How many new industries are created by all new companies, all new entrepreneurs, all new, formats of doing business? The years of it has to be this way or that way are long behind us. Some people are going as far as back as 2 years ago. My knowledge in business goes back 2 trillion lifetimes ago. But I can break down the dynamic of the differences in the last 2 months, in the last 2 weeks, in the last 2 days, in the last 2 hours, in the last 2 minutes, and in the last 2 seconds. Most people can't do that. We can fall victim to being exposed to people that lack an education, fundamental core values and principles that only an education can provide for you, even if it is showing up every day, even if it is something basic like just do your homework, even if it is something as simple as just try your best. What do you do in a situation like that? If a freight train is coming full speed, what do you do? Do you fight the 200,000 tons of steel coming your way? Do you weaponize and try to attack the freight train coming at the speed of sound? Do you try to convince the conductor and the passengers not to proceed because their lives are in danger and they're putting the lives of the public in danger? Or do you just Tai Chi, allow an empty space to fill itself? Use the same energy of the opponent against the opponent and turn the tables, the dynamic of power, by just stepping to the side and allowing the freight train to crash and burn over the mountain and the cliff, going over the bridge that was destroyed by dynamite, by a laser from the future. You move out of the way. It takes two to dance, right? If you're arguing with me and I just walk away respectfully, what is there to argue with? There's nothing there to argue with. The lower people go, the higher you go. The more professional, the more love that you show, the more, more, more. The less they give, and the more they take, the more you give. You realize that over time, you become more powerful. It's not my position to be a structural engineer and explain why, you know, the bridge is falling apart, why it should be re engineered, redesigned, rebuilt, remastered, repurposed, or rebuilt. It's not my conviction to go express to the passengers on this train that willingly jumped on this train of belief, this perspective, etc., right? It's not my job to go convince the conductor and the navigator and the staff and the crew members and the chiefs and the fucking, you know, traffic directors, the people at the power company to cut power on the train. What if the train runs on fucking biodiesel or it runs on coal? You see all those variables? God's not doing it, so why do I have to do it? We're all God's children, right? We all have the same responsibility. That's God's responsibility. He's made a decision to allow these people to have this perspective. All I can do is step out of the way. It hurts sometimes. You may feel some doubt, you may feel some concern, you may feel some worries. That's all neutral, natural human being behavior. Allow yourself to have those feelings and those emotions and those thoughts, and also allow yourself to move forward and move past it and not care, not delegate 1 second of importance or attention or energy, because that dividend and yield will never be a positive. It's always going to be a problem. It's only a matter of time. You have to know when you've won. I think that the writing has been on the wall for a long time. I think we can read the room, how somebody mentioned to me yesterday, and not in the way that you would think normal as an educated person, right? In the way that other people that are not educated read the room and process the room and understand the room. You know what I'm saying? It's the difference between a grandmaster and a mastermind. Many great chess players, not too many great grandmasters. There are many grandmasters, but not many legendary grand masters of the game. Dominoes and chess, like checkers, are not the same thing. But just imagine if you play dominoes, how you play chess as a grandmaster player. This is the Capicua move. that you have to count as the copy piece when you're playing Capicua. Locking the board on both sides. Neutral. System defeated. Here comes a new challenger. Imagine yourself looking forward to a future that you don't even understand, where your faith is expecting you to trust, and all you can do is surrender to the higher power. Had it not been for logistics, I would have been on my way already today. So I am appreciative that I'm going to be able to uh, reflect on many things along the journey, as if I'm reliving this path, right? Or this past. I'm going to be walking through the same grounds throughout this process, literally retracing my steps just to say thank you and move on. Tears of joy are sure to come somewhere along this path in this journey, and it will all have been worth it in the end. I believe in my heart I have conveyed everything that I wanted to convey with you guys. This was the breakthrough moment. From here, it's writing down my priority list and execution of everything in and within that priority list. As a matter of fact, I did it 13 minutes sooner than I calculated that I would. 14 minutes if I wanted to make it super special. Maybe this is where the sense of completion, the relief, has stemmed from. How do we know? We don't know. But going through the process is the only way to find out. I leave you with that. Have an amazing day today. May you conquer everything in your path. May everything you touch turn into solid gold and silver bars and beautiful and precious gemstones such as moissanite and naturally laboratory grown diamonds. Always remember to dream big because dreams come true. It happened to me. I know for a fact it's going to happen to you. God bless.